Portage Manor Cemetery, 2 years later, it finally happened. The county has transferred ownership of it to Portage Township. And this is a big moment. It's a moment that matters. So Portage Cemetery is a cemetery that sits alongside what was Portage Manor. That's the county home that for many decades served some of the most vulnerable people in our community, people with mental illness, disabilities, or those just had nowhere, those folks who had just nowhere else to go. It had been around since the early 1900s. The county shut it down in 2023. Just beyond this lies Portage Cemetery, and this is a place where a lot of the folks who lived there were buried if they passed away. And so it's one of those places that very quietly carries some of the most overlooked human stories in the South Bend community. So now today, the cemetery is the final resting place for more than 1,000 people. We've got documentation going back into the early 1900s, but the vast majority of them were indigent, and that's why they call it a potter's or a pauper's cemetery. Hundreds of them were children, and some bodies out there were even stacked on top of each other when they were buried, just because they didn't, take a lot of care in some points throughout history out there. Some were veterans who later did receive military honors, but for many, there are no headstones, no names, no markers, just the institutional knowledge that they're there and some records that we have at the local government level. And so for years, the only visible sign at all that there was even a cemetery out there was one single engraved boulder that was placed out there decades later. Now, over time, this land has fallen into disrepair due to neglect. Their graves were marked, at least with numbers, but that's all now been lost to time. So to anybody passing by, it just looks like another grassy field, which makes it easy to forget what and who lies beneath it. And honoring those people that are buried there means more than just acknowledging that they exist. It means actually recognizing this land is sacred and important to our history as a community. And that history doesn't just disappear because it's not marked anymore, or it's inconvenient, or it's out of sight. It means we need to commit to protecting this space forever, not just until someone decides that it could be used for something else. And that's exactly what we plan to do, and that's why this transfer matters. By placing it under the township's care, that we now have a clear responsibility to protect it, preserve it, and honor those that have been buried there. And we've discussed lots of plans for fencing and signage and other, maybe even some investments and other interesting ideas and ways that we can properly dedicate the space so that it can never again be mistaken for just empty land or just a grassy field. The problem is we still have no idea what the city or county plans to do with all of the adjacent property around it that is all around the cemetery. So there's a lot of talk of developing it and doing various things with it, and some folks want to conserve it. It's a big controversy. So it's really hard to make plans on what to do, let alone investments into this area with all of that going on. So for the moment, we're just going to be making sure that the area is protected, well taken care of, and when we know what is happening to the surrounding area, then we will make more definitive plans, and we'll start discussing those things with the community, and we hope that you and the entire community will want to be a part of that conversation because it's all of our shared history.